Hello, this is T.A. McLaughlin, or Teresa, here to see you again for the third episode of Tayamni Transmissions. I hope you've had a good week. If you're liking these episodes, I'm sorry I didn't produce one last week, but if you like these episodes, please be sure to like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll gain more followers. I hope so. Anyway, so here we are again, episode 3 of Tayamni Transmissions. Today we will continue with Tayamni culture. Let's start with the nine or the Ennead. Ennead is a Greek word, an ancient Greek word for nine members of something, or 9 objects. When the Tayamni were saved and returned to Musara, they had no culture, no traditions, nothing at all. So the 9, or in reality the 7, since Osiris and Seth, Osiris was dead and Seth had left, no one knew where he was. The 9, the 7, stayed at Musara for a millennium, or maybe 2. They stayed there for a while to help the newly created Tayamni rebuild their world and to recreate their culture, their language. They gave them their own language. The Ennead gave the Tayamni their language and their own philosophy for living and much of their technology. A different language can restructure your thinking. It gives you different concepts you have not had before. Languages change the way that you think of the world. Another language can cause you to see yourself and the universe differently. The language of the 9 changed the Tayamni. The language of Ayam was magical. Humans have long believed in the magic of language. Traditionally, humans believed in the power of spells. That is, saying the right words in the right order could cause a physical change. We believed language was magic, like abracadabra or open sesame. In the movie Arrival, when humans learn the language of the heptapods, we become more aware and sensitive to time. We begin to sense the future. The language of the 9, Lorien, the language given to the Tayamni, changed them. It made them more spiritual, more psychic. It gave them the power of telepathy. It reordered their natural thinking. Okay, now see, I have to pick up this little kitty cat who I love so much. Uh-oh. Okay, this is Freckles. And Rick, my husband, and I rescued Freckles. We deliver meals to, we help Meals on Wheels on Friday mornings. And when we were delivering meals to an elderly couple, we saw this little kitty cat out in the yard, and she looked so distressed and not well at all, that we rescued her and brought her home with us. And now we've had her for over a year. She's 18 years old, even though she looks just like a kitten. She's like a Tayamni. She never ages. You know that? You never age. Okay, let me see if we can... She wants to be in my lap. And we all know cats rule the house, so we'll keep her right here for a little while, as long as she can stand it. So let's see, where are we? The language of the 9, Lorien, is the language given to the Tayamni. It changed them, like all new languages do. I remember when I learned French, how my concepts of myself and the world, the planet, of humanity, it all underwent a change. When I learned German, the same thing happened. and I studied Italian for a long time, and these changes just keep happening, you know, if you study other languages and other cultures. So this is what happened to the Tayamni. The nine also gave them their own spirituality. So the nine taught the Tayamni their spirituality. They taught them to meditate. They taught them about other dimensions, the other dimensions. They taught the Tayamni how to connect with their own spirit in a higher plane, how to identify their own spiritual guides. The nine rebuilt the cities of Musara. They cleaned the environment and the seas. Remember, I don't know if you have read the first book, but if you have, you know that the Tayamni had, before they became the Tayamni, had destroyed their planet. The environment, the air, and the oceans. Musara is mostly ocean, with an archipelago of islands along its equator. The moon, Musara is a moon, so the Tayamni originally evolved on Musara, which is a moon. It's a moon that circles It's a moon that circles or orbits a gas giant planet called Nergal. And Nergal, in turn, orbits within a binary system, a large red giant and a small white dwarf. The red giant is called Inanna, and the white dwarf is Sig. Eventually, the nine left Musara to find other systems with other species on the brink of extinction, leaving the Tayamni on their own. Now we will talk about Adrahasis, who is a hero in Tayamni history, and he's male. After a few millennia, the Tayamni began to quarrel with themselves. In fact, they came close to war. When they saw themselves building weapons to fight each other, the entire society came to a collective horror. They did not want to become what they had been before the nine arrived, so they stopped themselves. One man came forward to offer a philosophy for moving forward in peace and love. His name was Adrahasis. The solution he saw was matriarchy. He argued that women were much more attuned to peace and love. If society were completely matriarchal, there would be peace. Also, there would be no need for marriage, monogamy, no need for a feeling of ownership of one's spouse. One consequence of the matriarchal society was a woman having more than one husband. Over time, men regained some rights, and there was a movement for equality, but matriarchy largely stayed in place. The man who envisioned this change towards matriarchy was Adrahasis. You will find statues to Adrahasis around Musara and other Tayamni colonies, and on Tayamni ships. Let's talk about their religion. The teachers and political leaders of Musara would tell you that there are no gods. Even though you see statues of Isis, Osiris, Thoth, Bastet, and the others in Musara's cities, the statues are there to remind you of the morality of the nine, not to worship them. There are even shrines containing these statues. For example, the largest shrine at Musara is one for Isis Hathor at the capital city of Terka. Entering the shrine, you find not only a large golden statue of Isis, but smaller ones of the remaining 7. However, Seth is not honored at Musara. You will find offerings, fruit, precious metals, flowers, and burning incense in these shrines. But again, this is only to recall the teachings of the 9, not to worship them. At least this is what the Tayamni teach. When you see an acolyte cleaning the shrine, or holders of the teachings seeming to pray to them, to the gods, to the statues, you can rest assured that they are not praying, but only meditating on the truth of the teachings. Some might find this a bit ironic. And there are, at Usara, there are family houses. In fact, this is where the word pharaoh comes from in ancient Egyptian. It's from the Tayamni, pero, or houses, the family house. Each family at Usara has a matriarch, who is the head of that family. Her family usually includes all her husbands, normally not more than 3 or 4, and all their children. As each family generation grows, another organization evolves, that of a house. The house is named after the first matriarch of that family. For example, for Batresh, Namazu, and Amun, it is the house of Uwana. Of course, in the current age, women no longer bear children in the traditional way. Children are created for a specific purpose. A particular vibration is selected, taking the vibration of particular chakras or mixtures of chakras, some being more dominant than others. For example, Bhatresh's dominant vibration is the anahata, the unstruck vibration, meaning something that vibrates without being struck. Like a bell, you have to strike a bell. You have to strike something. All objects that vibrate must be struck by something, except the anahata vibration. It just vibrates. It's the heart chakra. The particular balance of vibrations used to create Bhatresh ensures that she will be a nurturer and a good political leader. Amun has 2 dominant vibrations of equal measure. One is the Manipura chakra, or the solar plexus chakra. This makes him a good leader. But he also has the Sahasrara chakra, or crown chakra, which is called the doorway to the universe, which makes him spiritual. This is why he is of the priestly caste. Namazu's dominant chakra is the root chakra, or Muladhara chakra. It is located at the base of the spine and represents grounding, survival instincts, and security. The selected vibrations, along with DNA mixtures, come together to produce the traits you want to produce in your children. So Bhatresh will be a matriarch one day. Namazu is a warrior, and Amun is a priest. So there you are. This is the house of Uwana. Now let's talk about the Tayamni moral code. The Tayamni have a moral code based on the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. Ma'at was one of the 9. She was the lawbringer. This is also called a declaration of innocence. The negative confessions amount to a declaration of innocence. Here are some of them. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not slain men or women. I have not stolen food. I have not closed my ears to truth. I have not assaulted anyone. I think Freckles is getting she's getting a little impatient. I think she wants down now. Do you want down, Freckles? Okay, here we go. We'll put you down on the floor. Oh, okay, here we go. There you go, little girl. Okay, now we'll continue with the 42 negative confessions. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused a disruption of peace. I have not caused an animal to suffer. I have not polluted the water. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not taken food from a child. And so on. There are 42 of these. And you can find these on the internet. They call them the 42 laws, the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. But there are really, really bad translations. Very bad translations. So make sure you get a good translation, not one that is dogmatic, not one that causes you to feel bad about who you are. If you begin to feel bad when you're reading these, if you begin to feel bad about who you are, then it's a bad translation. These are gentle. They're not, you should interpret them for yourself in your life. Okay? And of course, scholars and priests have interpreted and reinterpreted these laws many times over the millennia. This is why Namazu is frustrated sometimes. She's not allowed to ever attack first. She cannot attack without the enemy knowing she is there. She cannot use cloaking technology. And on, or as Namazu would say, yada, yada, yada. This is why, during the Talalak War in Book 1 and 2, the elders suspend the moral code for Namazu and her armies. But there were fears the Tayamni would revert to their previous self-destructive practices if they did not have a moral code. So the laws were immediately reinstated when the war ended. Now let's talk about the elders, the Tayamni elders. When we meet the Tayamni, they do not have a real government. There's no need for one. The Tayamni seem to almost universally follow the moral code. However, they do have a sovereign, and her title is Berenib. Berenib was also the title and the name given to the first Tayamni to be reconverted or saved, saved from being a cyborg to being completely animal, like us. That's what Tayamni means, animal. So the Tayamni are changed. They are changed from cyborgs to animal, like us. They are no longer cyborgs. They no longer want to be cyborgs. They have measures and they have put in place to prevent themselves from becoming cyborgs again. Now let's talk about the elders. When we meet the Tayamni, they do not have a real government. There's no need for one. They have a sovereign whose title is Berenib, and she is always, or at least this is what's understood, always a descendant of the first Berenib, the first Tayamni saved by the seven. The Tayamni attempt to abide by the moral code. If a problem ever arises, it is dealt with by the elders. The elders are a group of very old Tayamni. You must be at least 3,000 years old to be an elder. For example, in the first book, when we meet Namazu, she is undergoing a psychological evaluation by an elder. Most elders appear to be around 30 years old. But sometimes a Tayamni, for whatever reason, will choose to allow themselves to age, and rarely to die. But in the case of death, the Ka of the Tayamni will be sent to another body to live another life. Do you remember what the Ka is? The Ka is, we could define it as a spirit, but for the Tayamni, it is the essence of who you are, the essence of your person. It is as we talked about in an earlier episode, Arthur C. Clarke speculated that humans one day would not need physical bodies, that we could be, for example, lattices of radiated photons, or lattices of photons that carry information. They would carry all the information needed for us to be who we are. So that is the Ka. And once the body dies, the Ka can be sent to another body, or a new body that is exactly the same as the old body that passed away, or except younger and healthier maybe. Okay, let's talk about the Hathors or Hathors. The Hathors can be compared to an order of nuns. They live in convents and always travel in groups of 7. However, they are not a religious order. They can intervene in spiritual matters, and they teach and maintain the Tayamni heritage and spirituality. Their primary purpose is to ensure the moral code is followed and that the Tayamni will not revert to implanting technology in their bodies. The overriding purpose of the Hathors is to ensure the Tayamni will never become cyborgs again. All Hathors must live at Musara, but they travel up and down the Orion Spur, from Earth and Musara, which is sort of mid-Orion Spur, outward from the center of the galaxy to the Perseus transit. In the 3rd book, there is an uprising of the Hathors, and this happens because of the influence of another cyborg species. Now let's talk about Tayamni males. Tayamni males are taught from early childhood about the changes brought about by testosterone. Males are taught to meditate and how to control themselves, and especially how to control the changes brought about by testosterone. For example, a male who attempts to physically overpower a woman must be sent to a re-education facility. Violence against women by males is so rare when it happens, it becomes a historical event. It is described and discussed in education materials. At the present time, in Tayamni culture, only 8 males have attempted to physically overpower women since Adrahasis's matriarchal revolutions. I hope this all makes sense. I hope it's not too complicated for you. And also, you may see some of the 9 here. In fact, I have images of the 9. This is Thoth. His primary characteristics are education and knowledge and science, and especially the cross between science and spirituality, which humanity is beginning to understand. So this is Thoth. His head is an ibis, and his neck, of course, but he has the body of a male. He is the Egyptian god of science, mathematics, writing, and education. I can't think of another culture that has or had a god of education. But here he is, Thoth, one of the 9. Each week I will introduce you to another member of the 9. I have statues of them here, so we will explore that as well. Anyway, hope this is okay. I thought I would do this tonight. We had a party across the street with our neighbor Trisha. She has a porch party once a month, and we went over and had a great time. But anyway, lots of love to you all. Please subscribe, please like, and next week we will have our 4th episode, and we will begin talking about the books and the stories, now that we have done a rather deep dive into Tayamni culture and history. So this is T.A. McLaughlin signing off till next week. Lots of love. Bye-bye.